Well, a little bit wet today. Rain going. Forecast pretty much says 100% chance of rain all the time for the whole week. Although we're a little bit higher up and further out than the standard weather system is in the town where we get the readings from. Once all the satellite stuff's stable and all the solar's up and got enough juice, I'll be getting a weather station for up here. I run a weather station at home, Davis, and I also run one at our coastal property. They're fantastic. I mean, by spending decent money on a good weather station is, in my opinion, worth it. You really get some great data over time. But I'd love to have one up here to keep an eye on, you know, kind of temperatures year round. Anyways, it's not really cold today. It's pretty decent out other than the rain. This is the Northwest though. If you live up here, then you're used to this. You just don't care.
Shamrock Creek.
Up here today, we're going to finish off the workbench inside the storage container. I'll show you what we're doing there. It's pretty cool. And then we're going to put a grounding rod in for the container and all of the items that will attach to it, such as the Starlink dish. We're going to move dishy onto the container. We'll actually onto a post next to the container. And as we get the solar panels mounted on the top of the cargo container, those will be able to ground straight to the frame as well. So we'll get that installed. So right now, I'm going to unload all the stuff out of the truck. I bought the new generator up. There's a video about that generator out there if you want to check out what we got. I brought that up here though, see if I can get it out by myself, because I'm here by myself today and it's really heavy. So we'll see if we can get it in here and store it here, and then get all the rest of the stuff out of the truck so we can get started on finishing the workbench install. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to move Dishy off of the temporary platform we built in the previous video and mount him on an actual pole that's concreted into the ground. I was going to mount him to the container, but it's just a whole bunch of extra work to build all the brackets and stuff, and this will be way simpler. We can drop this Starlink pole straight in the ground into some concrete and mount him on top and ready to go. Hopefully this part doesn't make for a great blooper video later, but I'm going to try to get that beast out of here. Well, that would have been easier if I'd moved the four-wheeler first, but it's out. I'm going to start working on the workbench now. So this is a glue-lam that I got from my father-in-law. Oh geez, it's been 15 years ago, probably at least. And I had it in my garage where I had it set up as my electronics workbench for doing electronics projects. However, a lot of that stuff I've got a different space for now, so I decided I'd bring this glue-lam up here because it's an awesome workbench. This thing is gigantic. So I have a steel frame that it sits on that was welded by a friend of mine many years ago. So we're going to install that at the back of the cargo container. And as I mentioned, I bought some pegboard stuff. I'm going to put that up on the wall so we can get all the tools out of the rigid box, all the tools out of the, you know, random boxes they're in, and get a good place to store everything. So when we're doing projects, we have everything right where we need it, out of the weather, easy to get to. So let's get this workbench built out and set up, and then we'll probably empty out the rigid box, bring some tools in here. So the glue-lam we have is not as deep as the steel frame that it's sitting on. So there's a gap in the back here. I just found some scrap wood that can sit actually on the steel frame and be the right height. So I'm going to mount those in first, and then we'll put this back piece on. Then we'll strap the whole glue-lam down to the frame with the pieces that it was using before, and should be good to go. When you're in the Northwest, everything is stainless. So stainless screws everywhere all the time. Spend the money, it's worth it. So there you go. You can see a little bit of a lip there. Totally fine. Makes a nice little shelf there, but fills that back gap. The one difference is because of the container here. I'll have gaps here, but I'll probably end up putting the pegboard down to here, so it should cover that up anyway, so I don't lose tools down there, but they would fall all the way through down to the bottom, so we just pick them up down there. Okay, so let's look at strapping the glue-lam to the frame, which Previously I had just used standard pipe pieces, so we'll just reuse those because that worked great. Now we got the glue-lam in place, we got it all supported, we got the backboard on. It was great being able to use scrap lumber, so super cheap, almost free project to get the container up and running as a shop. So next, I did buy some 2x2s from the big box wood store the other weekend. They were actually not too bad. Wood lumber's come down quite a bit, especially the small lumber. So I bought some of those so I can mount this pegboard up above the workbench. So I'm going to do that now. Since it is a container, all metal, we won't be driving any screws into it. What I'm going to do is actually use a liquid nails to glue the 2x2s onto the wall of the container so I can just screw the pegboard right onto that. Should work good. I'm sure someday I'll go to remove it and I'll be like, why the hell did I use liquid nails? But that's okay. This back wall, I'm going to put, like I said, I'm going to put this pegboard up here, but one thing I want to do is the solar system that is going on top of this thing and the wind turbine. We'll be starting a video soon on that series of putting in about 5,000 watts of power in here between wind and solar combined. Should be exciting. But I need to save room because I need to have a plywood wall or piece of plywood mounted on the wall that I can mount all that electrical equipment to. So I was debating whether this should go all the way across and leave a spot at the end. So I'm probably going to get out a little bit of that equipment and see how much space it's going to take up before I decide how wide that pegboard should be. The nails of the liquid. Gonna let that dry. The liquid nails need a little time to set before I can screw the pegboard onto it. So while that's drying, I'm going to look for the piece of plywood I might need for the solar mounting. I don't think I have any here. So we may have to buy a small piece, maybe a half sheet. So I'll go look for that. It's the only little wiener sheet I have, so that won't work. We'll just save that for another project. And look cold this morning. Got the coat on. If it's anything like yesterday, though, it should clear up later in the day and be a little bit warmer, probably in the mid to high 50s. I think it almost got to 60 yesterday, which was pretty decent, and the rain stopped. So this is about like it was yesterday morning, so we'll see how it goes. Nice cloudy, foggy, chilly, rainy northwest morning. Since it's chilly outside and overcast, there's not a lot of light in here. It actually looks pretty good on the camera, but it's a little dark in here and we don't have power yet, so I don't have any nice LEDs to turn on. But there's enough light with the doors open to get some stuff done. So let's get the plywood and pegboard stuff mounted. I'm going to check and make sure this liquid nail's dried and everything's solid. We'll get all that stuff mounted up there. 9 by 27. All right, came out pretty decent, so that should be a good place to get all the solar electronics. Now let's do the pegboard. Yeah, that'll work good. We'll screw that in. Hopefully there's enough support with just these three. I didn't put any horizontal crosses in there, so we'll see what happens. Worst case is I can pop it off and add those if it seems like it can't support it, but didn't want to spend a ton of money on this for now, so I just bought this Husky over at it was a Home Depot. That was on sale, so pretty decent price, but it's enough space to be able to store the cordless power tools and a few small items. Everything else will be hung on the bench. Ta-da! So I think I'm going to go pull all the tools out of the rigid box and just pile them all on the workbench here. That way they're all out and I can just figure out what we're going to do with them. I've got a few hangers for the pegboard, but at least get everything in its place in one spot. So right now I have to run over to the rigid box or run over here or get in the truck, and it's getting really painful. So this way it'll get it all in one space, and we'll get it super sorted over time. Okay, that probably hasn't been a very good video, but maybe I can time lapse some fanciness there. But starting to get stuff at least semi-organized, so everything's got a good spot for now. Gets us going, so I'm gonna go finish cleaning out the rigid box, and then we'll just use it for storing, like I said, the sprayers, chemicals, paints, things like that, and then they don't have to be inside the storage container. This ladder and this electrical thing. I would like to thank the Doomathon organization for letting me steal this awesome power strip.